Hey, what is up, guys? My name is Cameron Gallagher from We Are Film, and today I want to do a video all about my file structure for corporate and commercial filmmaking. And the reason why this is for corporate and commercial is a little different from the video I did about the narrative, which definitely has some different workflows and different things. This is much more structured for what I use for commercial clients, corporate clients, and you'll kind of see why a little bit here in a minute. So this is sort of the basic outline I have here. I have my production folder, which we'll talk about. I have the media, the graphics, photos, audio, and then you'll notice that after VFX, which is number 6, there's missing 7, 8. That's if you need to add 2 extra folders for maybe specialty projects. So maybe a certain project has a very specific topic, or maybe there's like animation and you don't want to have it in with graphics, or maybe there's again just like a whole other element. Maybe it's a podcast and you don't want to put that in the audio folder. And then exports. And so these are the main pillars here of sort of the folder structure, and let's kind of go through them. So with production, the first thing I have is documents. So this is where I might have now, normally I would use like things like Google Drive for this because you can share documents. But if you were getting like a script or a storyboard to download or something that you need locally, the documents folder is a great place for it. Behind the scenes, I just have this because a lot of times we're capturing behind the scenes and it's nice to have those photos, whether for yourself or for the client. I use Resolve, so I have Resolve backups in this folder, but you could totally do Premiere Pro or whatever else, like project folders in this. It's not where I Resolve is different. It's a project database. So if you're in a different software, you may have to figure this out, but there's some options. So media, which is probably the most important folder, has the raw media, and this is usually actually done out by day. So normally I would have in here day 1, and it's like 0000. So this is basically just dropping cards. So this is where I put those cards. The only thing that gets a little bit tricky is sometimes I have ones that span across a year. So I might have a project that has multiple years. You sort of have to play that one by ear at that point, but I'll go through and I'll just do each day. And this is where I just drop the card. So I just immediately copy the entire card over. Client supplied. So this is where if a client gives me footage or they give me something to edit, it's going to go in there. Stock, pretty straightforward if I have stock. And then I have other, which this is mainly for if I have like archival footage or something that maybe I shot that like years and years ago for the client, where it's technically my footage. It's not stock footage. It's not client. I just kind of have that for like other stuff. So that's a great use case for that. That's media. And then graphics is usually, so there's the client supplied. So this is when the client sends me like logos or whatever it may be. And you could always make subfolders inside of that. And then I have creation files. So this is when I'm creating something for a client. So I usually have a template folder. So sometimes I'll use templates from, like a Envato or something like that, and I'll put those there. The project files, so that's like the working project files. And then, of course, the exports. So usually inside of the exports, I might have multiple versions. I don't think I have anything else in those. Yeah. So this way it'll be like, maybe if it's a logo, it'll be logo version 1, or maybe it'll be, opening title version 2, or whatever it may be. Just this way I know sort of what's each one at a glance. And that's graphics. And then I have a photos folder. So this is, let me just make sure there's nothing in this. So for photos, same thing. I have client supplied. So if a client gives me photos they want in there, which is pretty common, that's where those go. Stock, of course, is kind of same thing as the media earlier. And then edited. So this is if I were to take photos. So those photos are going to always be in the media bin because I prefer to drop and copy entire cards. I don't like organizing stuff on the import. I think it's a way to lose stuff. But let's say I had like Photoshop files or maybe a Lightroom file or something, or some specific files, I can put them in here, which is really nice because if you have like a Lightroom catalog, or I use Capture One, you can put the Capture One or Lightroom catalog in the project. So if you archive this entire project later on, you're not going to lose all of your stuff, which is huge, right? You don't want to like all of a sudden something moves and nothing works. and then exports. And you could do the same thing with the graphics if you wanted. So if you wanted to do like type and then version one, you totally could for photos. It really just depends on what you're doing with the photos. So then audio, this is a big one. So I have music, uh, SFX, which SFX is a little deceiving of a title because I put sound effects, design, and Foley in here. So, if there's sound design and Foley, I like to keep them separated from the special effect or from the sound effects. So you don't have to do this. I just do it because I do it with the narrative stuff and I think it helps understand what's what. Voiceovers, there's a temp and final. So a lot of times I'll do a temp voiceover and then I'll have a client or hire somebody to do a final. Export. So what this is for is mainly if I'm exporting like an OMF to a composer, or excuse me, not a composer, like an external audio person. So if it's a bigger project and I'm not doing the audio, I might have placed all of the sound effects and music and voiceover, and then I'll export like an OMF out to our sound mixer to do that, and then that's where I have the return. So this is really important because this is when I get back those files. I know that this is where those like mix downs are going to be, and you could of course inside make versions if you wanted to. And it's kind of similar to VFX because VFX I have render for VFX. So this is, if I'm rendering a shot out to bring into a VFX software, whether it's myself or for someone else, there's working files. So if I was using like a Cinema 4D or something else, which normally I don't do, Blender file, but again, it's there just to keep it neat and tidy. Exports. So this is mainly when I'm exporting like an entire project to someone. This is not the same as the rendering, and then the return. So if I'm sending it out to a VFX artist and then I'm getting that back, and then finally we have exports. So I have a working cuts folder where usually like the in progress stuff goes, and then on the final I'll when things are approved I'll put it in the final. And in the working cuts, I'll also put like stills and photos. And although I have the, actually, I guess I don't. Yeah. So, the final photos and final stills, because I often give clients stills, they'll all go in these. So this way, and you could always put the final photos and everything inside the finals. That's totally up to you. I just sort of like to keep them a little bit separated so I know what's what. But this way you sort of know what you have as your final delivery folders and you're not getting kind of caught up in everything else. But yeah, so I mean, it's always a work in progress. I think this is working for me so far, especially for mainly what I'm doing. Like I don't often do a lot of VFX or audio, so I'm usually just sending those out. I'm not making a lot of graphics, so same thing. I'm kind of just doing that. And honestly, I could probably put a return and export folder here if I wanted to. Um, like obviously I have some of those, but typically I'm not sending it out. So, I mean, I could, but it also just depends on the client. But yeah, anyway, I would love to know if you guys have any different ideas or options, or if you've done anything cool with your folder structures. I'm always interested, and I would love to hear what you guys got going on. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.